We'll get started here in just a few moments. While you're waiting, let us know where you're watching from today. Put a comment down in the comment section below. We'll get started here in just a few moments. While you're waiting, let us know where you're watching from today. Put a comment. We'll get started here in just a few moments. While you're waiting. Get started here in about 1 minute. Let a few more people join the stream here. Thanks to those of you for tuning in this morning. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started this morning. Good morning, everyone out there. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Pat Kane. I work at the Museum of the Grand Prairie in our Museum and Education Department, and we're going to have a whole bunch of fun today here on another Museum Monday. Today's theme is Adventures in Clay. We're going to learn all about that doughy substance you can find in the ground to make a whole bunch of things, learn about how it's been used throughout history, and what you can do at home to use some clay to do some really awesome things. If you've never joined us for Museum Mondays before, Museum Mondays is something we do every Monday in the summer where we have a particular theme that's centered around history, nature, science, art, and we do a whole bunch of fun stuff related to that theme. As I mentioned, today's theme is Adventures in Clay, where clay will be what we have so many adventures with today. I encourage you to share this with museum fans of all ages. Share it with your parents, share it with your kids, share it with your aunts, uncles, cousins, grandmas, grandpas, other friends out there. These are programs designed for museum fans, museum visitors of all ages. Another thing to do, if you haven't done so already, let us know where you're watching from today. Put a comment down in the comment section below. Love to see where folks are watching from today. Katie is watching from Urbana. My coworker Katie, always good to see you. Good morning. Start of a new work week this week. Also, I encourage you to ask questions. Ask questions down below in the comment section. If you have any questions at all, I would love to hear from you. Put those down in the comment section. I'll answer those live. Or if you just have a comment, suggestion, whatever else, it makes it a lot more fun for you and me when you ask questions and make this interactive and engaging and fun for all of us. Also, if you are unable to comment, maybe you're a kid out there and you just want to shout out answers to the screen, I will be asking you some questions, and I'll pause, give you some time to answer. Feel free to just shout them out to the screen, just so you can have as much fun as possible in your own home or wherever else you're watching today. So with that, let's go ahead and jump right in. I'm going to be sharing my screen, showing some pictures, some videos throughout. So follow along, stay with me, keep up, and we're going to have a whole bunch of fun today. So I'm going to share my screen. We're going to get started with today's program. All right, so we are all here for this awesome Facebook Live virtual program, Museum Mondays Adventures in Clay. Again, my name is Pat Kane. I work at this place, the Museum of the Grand Prairie at Lake of the Woods Forest Preserve, part of the Champaign County Forest Preserve District. This museum has been operating for 50 plus years, where we love local history. We focus on Champaign County and East Central Illinois history, and we love the Champaign County Forest Preserve District where we are located. So if you haven't visited us before, when we reopen in the near future, please come out and see us, or go and visit those beautiful forest preserves, the outdoors, explore the outdoors, because they are still open despite many other things still being closed. And for today's program, what are we going to be doing today? What type of adventures in clay will we be having? So before the program is over, you will be able to answer these questions. What is clay? What is that stuff that is known as clay? Where does it come from? And how has it been used throughout human history? We will answer those questions before today's program is over. Also, what kinds of clay artifacts do we have here at the museum? The museum has over 26,000 objects, photos, records, archival material in our collection. And we do have some awesome stuff that is made of clay. So we'll check out some clay artifacts in our museum collection here in a few moments too. Excuse me. And lastly, what activities can you do at home to explore clay? What can you make out of clay? How can you make it? I will show you some awesome, activities that you can do at home to make some really awesome clay stuff of your own. Okay, so what is clay and where does it come from? So clay is all around us. If we go outside, there's some grass outside, just outside my apartment complex here, but clay is all around us. We can get clay from the ground. Clay is usually found in small pockets just a few feet below the surface of the ground, below the ground surface. And it is usually that gray or tan, doughy-like stuff that you can ball up, that you can shape, that you can make into a snake or a worm and mold around, and can be shaped into many things, and has been used to make many things throughout human history. And what has it been used to make? Well, here we have some pots. For thousands of years, clay has been used to make ceramic objects, including like pots and containers to hold things. Some pots that have been found on planet Earth date as far back as 29,000 BC. That is roughly 31,000 years ago that humans have been making clay pots out of clay. That tan, gray, doughy stuff that can be found in the ground, shaped it into a pot or a bowl or some sort of container like is pictured here, then set out in the sun to dry or heated over a very, very hot fire to create these things. We've been doing this as humans for thousands, tens of thousands of years, maybe even farther back. We just only have evidence that clay pots existed as far back as 31,000 years ago, but maybe there's some pots out there that are even older that we haven't even discovered on planet Earth. Who knows? Maybe you can grow up and be one of those archaeologists that will discover these ancient artifacts that are even older than 31,000 years old. Clay has also been used to make some really awesome artwork. These are some ancient figurines that are on display at various museums around the world. A lot of times, clay shaped into sculptures thousands of years ago, these figurines included have some sort of religious significance. This clay sculpture, this clay figurine on the left is from Mexico. The one in the middle is from Africa, and the one on the far right is from ancient Asia. So clay's been used around the world and shaped into pots, as well as these really awesome figurines, these works of art for thousands of years. Another interesting story is the Terracotta Army. This is a pretty interesting story for you history fans out there, and a little different because the Terracotta Army was discovered by local farmers in Asia in the 1970s in China. What they discovered was something amazing, vast and huge, way more than they first anticipated when they made their first discovery of finding one of these first terracotta soldiers. So following the death of an ancient Chinese emperor over 1,000 years ago, thousands of life-size soldiers, like the ones pictured here, we can see the woman who's standing next to them, just to give you an idea of how big these terracotta or clay soldiers were. there were thousands of these life-size soldiers, and many other things were buried with this ancient Chinese emperor to protect him in the afterlife. And what was buried with him? Well, when it's all said and done, there were more than 8,000 life-size terracotta soldiers buried, as well as a number of other things, including 100 clay terracotta chariots with over 520 horses. Much more were buried in this ancient terracotta army discovery when it was discovered by local farmers in the 1970s, all made out of clay as well too. So ancient artifacts made out of clay used throughout history. Native Americans also used clay to protect themselves in certain ways. Some Native Americans use clay in weapons, balling up clay into really small balls or clay pellets and shooting it through things such as like a blowgun, like is pictured on the far left. You put your mouth around that end piece with a clay pellet inside, and then you take a swift and blow it to shoot at your enemy, at your opponent. Native Americans also use what were known as pellet bows as well too. Here's a picture of a pellet bow where you would use it just like a standard bow and arrow, but instead of shooting an arrow, you would shoot clay pellets. So clay being used in weaponry too. Today we see clay still being used a whole bunch. Probably see it out in your yards or around your neighborhood in these clay pots right here. Clay been used to make some nice terracotta pots that we see used in gardening all over the place. Clay can also be used to make bricks. Many of our homes, many of the buildings that are in our cities and our towns are made of brick. And you can make bricks out of clay, clay bricks, the building blocks, the foundations of some of our buildings and big parts of human history. Clay, we also have a lot of fun with clay at the Museum of the Grand Prairie. So when we're able to have these programs in person, one thing that we really like to do is have our volunteer, Jeff, or other volunteers come for a kick wheel pottery demonstration. As you can see him pictured here, he's seated on this kick wheel that he uses his feet down below to scoot, Fred Flintstone style, this giant stone wheel that then spins the clay and the circular disc on top that he can then form into a clay pot. It's a really awesome demonstration. I'm really sad that we can't do physical in-person Museum Monday programs this year, but when we do it again next year, you'll have to come on out and check out this awesome kick wheel pottery demonstration that Jeff has helped us out with, as well as other volunteers too. Here's a little video showing how that kick wheel pottery demonstration works. So this person who's kicking this wheel, they're also shaping this clay. Down below their feet, they're kicking, or they'll kick it to a really, really high speed over and over and over again to keep this ceramic bowl or pot, whatever they're making, going to create some awesome pottery, kick wheel pottery. So we use it a lot at the Museum of the Grand Prairie too. What kind of clay artifacts do we have at our museum? So I picked out a handful. We've got quite a few, but I picked out a handful to show you some clay artifacts that are at the Museum of the Grand Prairie in our collections. Here is a container, a clay container that is in our museum's collection, just became a part of the collection here in recent museum history. But an archaeologist did some research on this particular pot and believes that it was a part of Native American culture, late Mississippian era culture, right around the Indiana area where Indiana is today, and could be at least 200, 300 years old, maybe even dating farther back than that. So this was used by Native Americans in the Indiana area at least a couple hundred, 300 years ago, if not more, to hold water, food, whatever else that needed to be put into that pot. This is one clay artifact that's at our museum. This right here, what do we think this looks like? Either shout it out to the screen or put a comment down below. This is another artifact from our museum's collection, but what does that look like to you? What could it be used for? This is actually from our museum's original collection, the William Redhead collection. This is a pudding mold in the shape of a fish. We used to make some awesome molds out of pudding, maybe to have at a family get together or an outing. But this is made out of clay, made out of ceramics. Somebody shaped this in the shape of a fish that was then used to make some awesome molds out of pudding or jello or whatever else at some awesome family get-togethers in the early part of the 20th century, in the early part of the 1900s. What about this? What does this look like? Take a guess. Shout it out to the screen or put a comment down below. What do we think this object is from our museum's collection? Yeah, this is actually looks a lot like lamps that maybe we've seen in movies. This is actually an ancient Roman clay lamp. Liquid would be put in here, some oil would be put in this lamp and then lit to light the way in ancient Rome. So this is another awesome artifact that was a part of our original collection. William Redhead, the founding collector of our museum, was a big fan of lamps and lighting devices, and he even had some ancient Roman lamps, including this one that he donated to the museum in the original collection. What about this? What about these things? What do we think these are? Take a guess. Put a comment down in the comment section below or shout it out to the screen. Maybe these look like some things that you're very familiar with. Yeah, so these are marbles. You may have some marbles at home today that you play with, but these are actually clay marbles from the middle of the 1800s. Right around 1850 is when the museum believes these marbles were from. So you can make marbles, toys out of clay even. And lastly, what do we have here? Well, this is a pipe. It's kind of hard to see, but this is a pipe made out of clay, but there's some really awesome artwork at the end of the pipe on the left side that looks like a person's face. Really, really awesome piece of artwork there where this clay was molded into a pipe as well as a person's head at the very end too. Really, really awesome. And we've got quite a few of these pipes that were shaped into sculptures looking like human heads too. Really, really cool. And these are just a small handful of artifacts that are made of clay at our museum. Again, we've got over 26,000 objects, photos, archival records, oral histories, a whole bunch of stuff. And these are just a few of the things from our museum's collection. Marina said Bram says marbles. Bram was correct. When we were just talking about marbles, Bram knows his clay museum artifacts. Hope you're doing well, Bram. Good to see you watching. So fun activities to do at home. What could you do at home related to clay? You're really, really interested in getting this doughy stuff in your hands and moving it around. Well, you can make clay pots, sculptures of your own. And if you don't have clay at home, maybe have some Play-Doh. Get creative. Use some Play-Doh to make your own clay at your own house. I've also seen some really awesome recipes online where people can make Play-Doh out of regular household ingredients that they may have in their kitchen cabinets. So check out those as well too. And maybe I'll even post a few links to where you can make your own Play-Doh or clay at home. So then you can make some awesome sculptures or pots of your own. So I found some really simple, quick videos of how to make two different types of pots, really simple types of pots. The first one we're going to look at here is called a pinch pot. Why is it called a pinch pot? Well, you basically use your thumb to put in the center of a clay ball and then pinch the outsides to make it look more and more like the bowl that we have pictured here in the center. So let's see how we can make a pinch pot of our very own. All right, so that was a really easy way to make a pinch pot. Really like all the, the simple words that were used there, but you can really make this awesome small bowl or small pinch pot of your very own just by following, those simple instructions. So one thing you can make is a pinch pot. Let's check out another type of pot that you can make of your very own at home using clay or maybe even Play-Doh at your own house. This one is called a coil pot because it has a lot of coils that you use to make a pot of your own out of clay. So let's check it out. So they're just getting some clay ready to go here to put up into a small ball. And you flatten out the base of the pot. Then maybe use like maybe like a butter knife, something, very safe in your own home that you can use to make a circle for the bottom. And then use the rest of the clay to roll out like a snake or like a worm to then make your coils. Then at the bottom, she was doing what's called scoring. You're just putting really small lines around the edge of that circle so those coils can sit on nice and easy. And then you use those coils just wrap around the base until you make a nice and high coil bowl. She's rolling out more snakes, more worms to make more coils for her coil pot. She's also scoring those coils just using, you could use something as simple as a butter knife, something with just a small edge, just to put nice little easy lines or slits on the coils, then put a little water on them, almost acts like a glue, nice way to secure them on your coil pot. Doing some more scoring of the edges there. Now she's using a little water to smooth out and secure those coils, little water. And she's going to make more and more coils. Build up that pot really nice and high. I'm going to fast forward a little bit too, but you can even put balls or twisted coils in your coil pot. Create some really awesome decorative pieces. And then when you're all done, you can set it out in the sun or heat it up and ta-da, boom, you got a nice coil pot. So these are two really easy ways that you can make your very own pots out of clay or Play-Doh even at your own house. Pinch pots or coil pots, really easy. And I can't take credit for these videos. I just found them on YouTube, but I will copy and paste the links in the comments of this video after it's over, if you want to go back and watch them. So just to review here, we're at the end of our program. Just got a few questions. See if you were paying attention, maybe you learned a thing or two. Write your answers in the comments or just shout them out to the screen. So we said at the very beginning where clay comes from. Where can you find clay? Well, who knows the answer to this question? Where does clay come from? Yes, that's right. Clay comes from the ground. It's all around us. If we dig just a few feet below the surface of the ground outside, we'll, especially here in Illinois, we will find some clay. Find clay in the ground. Of course, you can buy clay at the store, but where does the store get the clay from? Well, they've got to find it underground. Clay comes from underneath the grass, underneath the surface of the earth. Name one way that clay has been used throughout human history. So we looked at a whole bunch of awesome artifacts, ways people have used clay throughout history. Name one way. Shout it out to the screen or put a comment down below. Yeah, there's plenty out there, figurines, ancient clay pots. Clay pots have been used or created by humans for tens of thousands of years. Native Americans even use clay pellets in weapons, in blowguns and pellet bows. We even see clay being used in bricks when humans have been making buildings or houses. Marina said, the last question, Samara said clay comes from the ground. That is exactly right. Marina also says clay can be used in vases. That's exactly right. The Montez Ellis family, they're getting all the correct answers today. Thanks for watching, Bram, Samara, maybe Esty, if you're there too. Last question, what are two easy ways to make your own clay pot? We just watched two videos how to make your own clay pot. What's one way? Yeah, we just watched two really simple ways to make your own clay pot by either making a pinch pot or a coil pot. Really simple, really easy. Again, I'll post the links to those videos in the comments after this is over. So I want to thank you all for watching. That's the end of today's program. It's already 10:30, but tune in next week where we'll do another Museum Mondays program. Check out our Facebook page, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube for all of the updates on what we're doing at the museum. Check out previous Museum Monday videos on our page. We're posting all kinds of stuff on our Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube since we are currently closed. But we will reopen in the near future. Don't have an exact date for you just yet, but stay tuned to our social media. That is where we will make an announcement of when we will reopen. But again, my name is Pat Kane. I hope you had a bunch of fun today. Hope you learned a thing or two. And we'll see you next Monday for another Museum Mondays. Enjoy the rest of your day, everybody.